Better Man comes to us from the director of The Greatest Showman, Michael Gracie, and this is the autobiography of Robbie Williams, portrayed in a motion capture chimpanzee style as he views himself as being a different person and a different man as such. But is this biopic actually any good? Yes and no. We'll get into it. Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Thank you for sparing your own time out to check out my review of Better Man. My name is Mike if you're brand new here. If you're coming back, you already know that. But yeah, Chimpanzee is represented as Robbie Williams in Better Man, the biopic tale of Robbie Williams, and it tells the story of his life, including the time when he was also in Take That. Now, let's give a little bit of context about Robbie Williams and where I stand on the guy. I think that he has some good songs. Of course, everyone here in the UK pretty much knows his big song, Angels. But you've got like Rock DJ, you've got Let Me Entertain You. I mean, of course, he's got quite a few big numbers, but the most common one is probably Angels. You'll hear a lot in like karaoke or at like the pub and stuff like that, right? So I can appreciate music-wise what he was able to accomplish, and also the fact that he did make some big songs, right? And they are songs that, you know, I wouldn't put on my Spotify playlist, but I have listened to, including on the drive home after checking out Better Man. But as for Robbie Williams himself, I've never actually really been a fan of his. I've always just thought of him as being like, typical drunken person, Robbie Williams. That's all he was kind of showcased as the media, just being this person who was just drunk all the time. And of course, this movie adds on the fact that he did have some substance abuse. But kind of taking that aside, going into Better Man, what did I think ultimately after coming out of this one? Well, for the most part, I actually enjoyed it as a biopic. I thought it was definitely something different, and it was one that kept my attention for the most part. But I do think there are some big gaps in there that unfortunately don't fulfill the full picture. And what I mean by this is, we'll get into that in with the negatives, but going into some positives firstly, I think the performance of Jonno Davies, who plays basically Robbie Williams, I think he does a really good job. And I think the performance is really good. I think everyone all around gives a good performance. The cinematography is really nice to look at. My favourite part of this was when they were singing Rock DJ in the streets of London, which was actually filmed in the streets of London. They had quite a lot of trouble closing those streets down to do that. But I think it definitely pays off, as it was one of the big numbers for me that really kind of hooked me into the picture and got me interested. So credit where credit is due, and there is more to Robbie Williams than what maybe meets the eye. As I say, he was portrayed for a long time in the UK here as just being a drunk pop artist, and yes, he did have troubles with alcohol. He also had trouble with substance abuse, he had trouble with relationships, and in the past with his relationship with his dad. So a lot of that is explored, and there's a lot of themes that's explored here. The vulnerability that he opens himself up to, I can appreciate that at least he lets the audience in a little bit on his life and what he was exactly going through when he was hitting the peak of his career, or even at the beginning of his career in Take That, because even before that point, he was struggling. He had to overcome these demons that he faced in the past to get to the point where he could kind of find some peace within himself. And I think in that element, I really did enjoy the movie. But I think unfortunately where it doesn't really work for me, despite this being kind of like a spectacle movie, of course, from the director of The Greatest Showman, and there's plenty of moments where it is spectacle with his big hits and how they introduce those into certain numbers in the movie, which actually works pretty well. The things that don't work for me is I felt a lot of it was kind of glossed over. And especially to give a few examples, right? So the situation with his dad, it pretty much ends on like a sour note, and then right at the end of the movie, it's kind of all forgiven, just like that. And I'm just like, that doesn't seem to be like as easy as that forgiven wise. But then also there's a few things with his friends, or his ex-love Nicola from All Saints that we learn of, which I actually didn't know about, to be honest. But all of that just seemed to be forgiven pretty quickly. But I think that is the problem with the directing and the story. And what I mean by that is I feel as if this movie tries to take its time with everything that he goes through. With there's parts with him with Take That when he starts out, then him going in and venturing into his solo career. All of that is explored and given enough time to really delve deep a little bit more into those big moments in his career. But by the time we get to the end, it feels like, oh, pants, we've got to wrap up like 5 different side storylines here, and we've got 5 minutes left. Okay, well, let's throw this here. Okay, let him do this, and we'll have a scene here, and we'll have a scene here. It just felt a little bit choppy as we got towards the end, especially as this is already a 2 hour and 14 minute roughly runtime, and that is quite longer of a biopic, but I wish they'd give us the time to just finish those stories off and have a bit more explanation than him being like, oh yeah, he's in rehab, he's fine now, it's all okay. His relationships that he strained, they're fine. Just a quick, knock on the doorbell, and that's it. They'll forgive me. And I just felt that was really weak. But for most part, besides the negatives, which sounds like quite a lot, I actually did have a good time with this. I was definitely sucked into the movie. The chimpanzee element, I was not put off by at all. Yes, because first 5-10 minutes I was thinking, well, why have we not just got a human portraying this part of Robbie Williams' life? But after a while, it just became kind of second nature, really. It didn't really put me off. So I would probably give it a score between 3.5 stars out of 5. Have you seen Better Man? Are you going to check it out? Let me know down below in the comment section so we can continue the discussion down there. If you also have enjoyed my Patreon, big shout out to all these awesome legends you see on screen who are part of Patreon. You can join today from only £2 per month. Link down below in the description box. And in the meantime, if you haven't seen these videos of mine, well, click over here, have a bit of a deep dive. Till next time, I'll see you guys. I'll be seeing you later.